Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another ShipBob hosted webinar with our partners over at Skubana and Gorgias. We have a great session for today, some really good content that we kind of just finished up a little bit this morning too and last night, and I saw some really good slides that Gorgias and Chad put in as well. So I'm super excited for what we got to go today. I know we're going to definitely go up to the hour, so I'm going to kind of skip through my talking, my spiel at the beginning here, but I think it'd be pretty interesting. I threw this poll question here at the last minute. I think it'd be interesting just to see, this is kind of out of my own curiosity as well, kind of what is your biggest fear during the holiday shopping season? Is it not fulfilling customers' orders on time? Is it losing track of sales performance across the different sales channels? Because I'm sure you guys are on copious amounts of sales channels. Is it just unhappy customers? Because I'm sure that is definitely a fear, probably a fear of mine if I was running an e-commerce business. Running out of marketing budget too early. I have seen that in the past while working at a recent digital ad agency before. Usually we try to mitigate those issues, of course, but is it other? If it's other, definitely just shoot that over in the chat box here so I can have a look. But hey gents, what do you guys think? What do you think is kind of one of the biggest fears of some of these e-commerce merchants out there?
I know one of mine from in the past, this is Casey Armstrong over here, was running out of inventory for your best sellers. So that's happened to me in the past, and I guess it's kind of a good problem to have because that means you're actually selling well, but it's also unfortunate because it means you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
And to go on this, if you're running out of inventory, I'd be really scared about having thousands or tens of thousands of customers getting back to you asking, where is my order? And your customer service team not being able to stay on top of all those requests.
And I think just to piggyback on that, this is Chad with Skubana. I'd say just rising costs to acquire those customers. If everyone's targeting the same customers using the same medium, those costs are going to go up significantly. And trying to balance that and drive more profitability, I can see that being a challenge over the fourth quarter.
Yep, no, I probably should put that in there for running out of marketing budget. Very good call out there, Chad. So that's pretty cool to see. Looks like kind of almost a 50-50 split, give or take, for not fulfilling customers' orders on time and unhappy customers. And I'll check out the others as well in the chat box here in a moment. But great, thanks everyone, appreciate that. So I'm gonna hide that out, and we are gonna move right along. And so I just want to, if you want to check out this guidebook, our content team just put this together. Really cool guidebook. If you're a health, beauty, wellness brand, definitely check it out. Some featured case studies and just kind of growth stories that they've kind of helped to put together, and through scalability and subscription orders and so on and so forth. And so that's in the handout section. Yep, should be 2 in there. And I also threw in, Chad, you guys put together this really cool the 12 essential Shopify Plus apps for 2019, which is really cool. I'm not sure if you want to touch on that, but I threw that in the handouts as well. Really well put together content from you guys.
I appreciate you sharing it. Yeah, so we just spied on some of the top Shopify Plus brands out there to see exactly what technology that they're using to run their business. And it's pretty surprising what we found, but if you want to be the best, you have to learn from the best. And so we just compiled this. We thought it was a great study.
Awesome. Yep. So those are 2 handouts there for you guys. You can take those with you, download them, ask us questions about it, whatever you want to do. Okay, nothing new here, right? You can join in for the poll questions. Any questions that you have, you can shoot them over my way. Nick Cotter, partner marketing manager here at ShipBob. I'll answer them on the fly, and then also make sure I put all 3 of these guys on the spot too during the session. So be on the lookout for that. Let's see, we'll send over the recording afterwards. Probably get that to you maybe by tomorrow. If not, probably Monday. And again, you can download the resources. So today's event speakers, I'm sure if you've gone to multiple of our sessions, over the years that we've hosted together, or this is just this past year, we've done a lot of these, right? And for today, they're kind of our speakers that have continued to come back. And so we have Casey, Chief Marketing Officer at ShipBob. We're joined by Skubana and Gorgias, Chad, the Chief Executive Officer over at Skubana, and then Phil, obviously, at Head of Business Development and Partnerships at Gorgias. And so they have some really good content they're going to kind of dive through. And so over the next 55 minutes or so, we're going to dive into these 3 things, and then of course jumping into the Q&A at the end, right? We're going to diving into operational KPIs that are actually going to help you to move the sales needle for the rest of this. We have like about 61, 62 days, give or take, left of the year, and so we're going to kind of dive into some KPIs you should be monitoring. Chad is going to be going to kind of just multi-channel sales and inventory metrics to kind of monitor and how to help increase average order values across those different channels as well. And then last but not least, we have Phil over at Gorgias, who's going to be talking about all around, customer experience metrics to, really pay attention to, so we can make sure that you have happy customers by year end. So, if, like I said, we're going to go into Q&A at the end, so you can ask us really anything. So that being said, it's 8 minutes into the presentation. I'm going to kick it over to you, Casey, to kind of start taking it away for the content side.
Perfect. Thank you, Nick. And I know we have the comments section open, so please ask away. Nick, feel free to chime in at any point with questions or questions you see from the listeners. And then Chad and Phil, please feel free to chime in as well. I like to make these as interactive as possible. Maybe I'll put these two on the spot as well with different questions I have. Plus, I also, of course, respect their opinion because they've seen so much from running their own brands to the thousands of customers that they help support as well. What's interesting too with the holidays, I feel like it just comes earlier and earlier every year. We were analyzing some of our holiday data from last year throughout the year this year, and what we actually noticed was our fourth largest orders received date last year was actually the day before Halloween. And so of course that can be skewed by, let's say, large brands, coming out of nowhere and having a huge sale. But this is across the thousands of ShipBob customers that are shipping millions of units and hundreds of millions in orders. And so the sample size is quite large, and this is on order receive date. And again, I was just very surprised to see really the holidays spike. And I'll share some more of the holiday data that we've seen in the past, just because I think it's interesting as you all gear up for the holidays. For example, and it's not something we have here, but we actually saw the 3 days leading up to Christmas and Christmas Day were actually the 4 slowest selling days in November and December. And then we saw a massive increase the day after Christmas through the end of the year, which actually those 5 or 6 days to close out the year were actually all top 60 days throughout the entire year. So I was just very surprised when I saw the order data, again, across a very large sample size, of how much things slow the few days before Christmas and how things to really start to ramp up. And also we saw Black Friday and Cyber Monday were the top 2 days throughout the year. Cyber Monday, we actually saw the most orders come in, but what was interesting, we saw the most revenue processed on Black Friday by far. So it was just interesting to see how brands are probably leveraging different offers and upsells and bundles that they're offering here. So let's jump into the slides we have here. It starts with
Casey, it's super interesting. Just real quick question. So you've got Black Friday, you've got Cyber Monday, and then if the day before Halloween was the 4th, what's the 3rd?
The 3rd, good question. I can actually pull that up while you're chatting. So
these are stats, so I'm like super interested.
Singles Day starting to be big in North America as well, 11/11.
Oh, interesting. I'll pull that up as well. I'll get back to you guys on that. I've got it all over here somewhere. Perfect. So alert setup in GA. So this is just kind of common housekeeping, which is how can you get alerted as quickly as possible when things are going well or things are not going well, to then find out what the core issue is. And so something that we set up when we do things here at ShipBob, things I've done in the past and running e-commerce brands is when is there irregular behavior? We do a lot of this also from our side with forecasting, so that we can make sure that we have, of course, people in our fulfillment centers at a certain level as well, but it's drop-in sessions. So let's say, some things that could happen there is maybe the Facebook ads or Google ads you're running are not performing, so there's a huge drop, or even a bigger issue. Maybe things are going so well that your site's getting inundated and getting taken down. I know that happens less and less, especially if you're on some hosted platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce. When I was at BigCommerce in the past, one of the stats that we often promoted was we had 4, maybe it's now up to 5 straight years of 100% uptime during Cyber 5, which includes Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And so how can you make sure that your site's not getting taken down by the influx of traffic and the ads that you're running? So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, but especially for those of you maybe on WooCommerce or Magento or something else, that the likelihood of that is a bit more common. Spikes in revenue. So where is, actually, Nick, please stay on the other side. So like spikes in revenue, which of your ads are performing best? Which of your products are performing best? Do you have the inventory to maintain that? Can you make sure that you get these orders out in time? So just looking at different trends and spikes in revenue, and then similar to the drops in sessions is drops in order, because that could equate to site down, but also, are you not seeing the performance in advertising that you were expecting? There's going to be, the competition really ramps up during the holiday season, and so it's really keeping an eye on what is and is not performing well. So reducing cart abandonment, this is something that we think about a lot over at ShipBob with 2-day shipping, free shipping, or free 2-day shipping, because we've seen a lot of our customers that start showcasing that, honestly, even at the ad level, but also, of course, on their site, whether it's in their persistent nav bar, at the checkout process, but is by showcasing this, they've seen improvements in conversion rate, or the corollary would be reducing cart abandonment. And so how can you make sure that your conversion rates don't fall during the holidays and in fact spike, because people's intent levels are often greater. They're looking to buy, they need to buy things for their significant others, their loved ones, family, friends. How can you capitalize on that and making sure that with the influx in traffic and probably ad spend that you're improving your conversion rates at the same time? Also, actually, another thing to call out here too is looking at some of, Nick, if you want to go back just for one sec, looking at some of like the different geographical data as well. And so that's one of the many interesting things that we get to look at across our different customers, is how during certain times of the year and for certain products, they'll see a spike based off of different geographies. And of course, that's why we have our fulfillment centers in certain locations to help take advantage of being closer to the end consumer. But which of your products, there was a customer that we worked with actually back when I was at Ecommerce that would see a huge spike they sold baby clothes. And so they had some that had like sharks and octopus and stuff like that on them, these sea creatures. And so they'd see these huge spikes around the coastal areas. And so again, it's just making sure that you're taking that into consideration from the advertising side, but also the fulfillment side, and making sure that you have products in inventory, or you have inventory within your warehouses or wherever you're shipping from. So Nick, if you want to go to the next. And then what can you do to really win over the holiday shopper? So I love this screenshot here. This is from My Calm Blanket. If you go to their site right now, you'll actually see the exact same experience. And so they're actually giving a 30% off coupon with Boo. What I like with this as well, and you'll see it in the next slide, is they're not requiring you to type in the code, even though that might help them make a little bit more money by those that don't take advantage of the code. But they're actually inserting that code within the website automatically. And so I think Nick jumped forward, he put the GIF here, and you'll see add to cart. Let's see, once he gets to the checkout process.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a really seamless experience, right? Like from a buying, it's really just like the lowest barrier to entry, I think, from a consumer standpoint, right? Just think about how I think about it too. It's just like, imagine clicking on like an Instagram ad and you're going through to this website itself, right? You want the minimal amount of touch points or like barrier to entry for me to actually make that, purchase at the end of the day, right? So it's like, you go to the website here, right? Like no matter what kind of pounds you input, it's still the same exact, right? Still free shipping no matter what, doesn't matter, right? And then it just like gives you an opportunity to increase the average order value here in the checkout process, right? So maybe you change your mind, right? And you're adding to another item to your cart, right? At that same point. And so it's just, it's like minimal steps that it really takes to actually, complete this purchase. And then, right, you get down to the end of it. Okay, cool. Oh, I'll just pay with Apple Pay, right? Because almost everyone's iPhone is connected to, Apple Pay Google Pay, right? And so it's just like, I thought it was a really cool example, right? That just makes the buying process just extremely easy for the consumer, right? And that's what you need to do, especially during the holidays if you're trying to win these shoppers.
And I see, sorry, that you have a discount that is auto-applied at checkout, right? So
yeah.
Do you use an app for that or a script? How do you apply the discount? Do you know how to apply the discount automatically from what you're advertising?
It's a good question. I'm not entirely sure, but Casey, I'm not sure if like we've experienced that in the past with other like Shopify or BigCommerce, if it's just like a simple script that you can add. But that was a really good call out though, right? Like Boo is already added to the coupon, right? I didn't even click on the banner at the top, right? It's already automatically added. And so when you go to checkout, it brings you here's another $35 off or whatever that actually is, right? So it's just like how can you really entice that shopper at the end of the day, right? To complete that purchase, right? Because we're all trying to win the battle for the shoppers, right, in the holiday season. So I'm not sure, but maybe I'm not sure.
Having it's not the first time we see it. Like having the discount automatically applied really decrease your abandoned checkout. So that's really strong tactic there for Black Friday.
At the same time, sometimes it can feel like it's commoditizing a bit, right? Like if you auto apply discount, like people want to work hard for discounts, they want to feel like exclusivity. And so like, I don't know, my mind goes into a place where it says, you want a customer to like go find that discount, feel like they're getting something special that they couldn't get automatically in checkout.
I like the counter argument. See, me, I'm looking for the discount itself. And so if that's already applied, I might make that purchase. But again, who knows, right? You're going to be shopping all around for different products, during the holidays. So like the counter. Well, you take it back away.
If you want to go back a couple slides. So here, just to call out a few other items that I know that they've tested and have fully rolled out within their checkout processes. Here, their reviews, which they've obviously spent a lot of time and energy to get their review count that high, and it's just a great call out there. What I like as well is it's interactive while not taking you off the checkout process. So you can click the reviews and they'll get a pop up. At the bottom, right before the add to cart, it's which weight is best for me. And so my guess is when they've poured through their customer success questions through something like Gorgias, I wouldn't be surprised if the number one question that they get is which weight is best for me, and people hesitate, and that slight hesitation prevents them from checking out that much faster, and then they get distracted by another tab or Twitter or their phone buzzing or something like that, and they don't check out. And so like, let's just put that number one question right there at the checkout process. And then if you click that, it's actually a pop-up that comes that you can quickly exit out, and it gives you a very simple breakdown of which weight's best for me. And then another thing to call it as well is the afterpay option as well, where $109.99 is not a lot of money for some people, but it's also a good amount of money for some people. And so they're offering a very easy interest-free installment payments from afterpay, and there's it's somebody that we partner with over here at ShipBob, and we have a handful of other partners that offer similar solutions, but just a great option, especially once you start to get into the slightly higher price point, which, this is just a shade over $100. Perfect. And then here it's just really comparing it to competition. And so when I started at ShipBob and I saw the growth that Mycom blanket was experiencing, I just have never been in the market for gravity blankets. I didn't realize how much of a thing it was. And then I started looking at search volume and the amount of money that people were pouring into the space, and it's pretty fascinating. And so with Mycom, they have some very clear competitors. They see across Facebook, they see across Google, they see across the organic search results. And so it's really them spending the time to look at the competition and see where are they willing to spend more on their customers to differentiate. And so a nameless competitor on the right, you look at their checkout process, outside of it looking a little bit clunkier, you're buying that item, and then all of a sudden you see a 20% increase in your cart amount just because of the shipping, where Mycom has decided to give you free shipping, and part of that is because they've been distributing their inventory. When we started working with them, they're based out in Florida. They were shipping everything from Florida. And so when they started shipping things to California and Oregon and the state of Washington, they were spending, because of these products weigh, including the box, 20 to 35 pounds, they were spending, up to $100 to ship a product that was maybe costing the customer slightly more than that. That math, of course, just does not make sense. And so it's identifying ways to run your business so you can ship it more cost effectively and separate yourself from the competition, especially with like these Black Friday, Cyber Monday battles, where people are even more reactionary than they are during other parts of the day, and they just want to take advantage of things like in that moment. The next example here is really using shipping and fulfillment to improve the profitability, and I believe Chad's going to touch on some of this later as well. And this is an example similar to the Mycom with distributing the inventory, but with Ample Foods and their product Ample, and their website amplemeal.com is they were offering 2-day shipment to a small portion of their customer base, but then they realized if they went from 1 to 2 fulfillment centers, they are actually able to offer that 2-day shipping to 65% of their base by also moving some of their inventory to the West Coast, where they see a huge amount of their orders come from. And not only did that provide a better customer experience, but they actually saw a cost savings of 13% of their bottom line. And so again, you're improving the customer experience and you're making money from that as well. Then if you want to go to the next one, Nick. So Nick touched on, actually this is Backblade. So this is another, I love this example. And Nick, if you want to chime in here a bit as well, just the customer journey and experience you have, that it's a bit more interactive, and they're trying to ask you specific questions to get you more committed into some of these upsells. And so with Backblade, if you're not familiar with it, and I highly recommend some of their videos that have gone pretty viral, it's this back raiser for men who have hairy backs. And quick tangent, they've actually seen a lot of medical interest from this as well. So let's say women who are pregnant and they need help shaving their legs. People have been wanting to utilize a version of Backblade. So I think they're going to launch like a women's version, because I don't think a hairy ape with a Backblade thing is going to really resonate to their female demographic. And then also to the older demographic as well. And so people that are maybe less mobile or flexible, they can utilize something such as Backblade to again shave their legs, or however they would like to use the product. But again, here they have a minimum $35 order value to get free shipping, and that's how they can really ensure that based off their cost of goods sold and shipping costs and customer acquisition costs, that it pencils for them from an ROI perspective. And so they're like, how can we get more creative in this customer experience and journey, so that now they're self-selecting themselves to a higher average order value. And then again, they're providing that 2-day, because you're getting over that $35 shipment amount. And again, it's what customers expect. We work with a company called Rebel Girls. They sell women empowerment books. They actually launched on Kickstarter a couple years ago. They've sold over 4 million books worldwide since. And they're selling you a $35 book. I mean, think of everything that's available on Amazon and how inexpensive books can be. They're selling you a $35 book, which it's part of that is the unboxing experience, the experience of enjoying the book, the hardcover book. It's thick, the thick pages. It's very high quality. And they're like, offering that free 2-day shipping. It's just that is paramount, especially during the holidays and what your competitors are going to be ramping up, and Amazon as well. And then the last slide is really just on the transparency side of things, transparency across the entire journey. So how can your customers track what's going on and where? I know I've been in that situation where maybe you delayed a little bit in ordering some gifts for somebody for their birthday or for the holidays, and you're really hoping it gets there in time, maybe especially if you told your wife that you'd order in time. But how can you give this transparency to your customer base? And then on the ShipBob side as well, it's something that we put a lot of weight on, is providing you that level of transparency within the warehouses as well. And so for every single order with ShipBob, you'll actually see how is that moving through our fulfillment centers, actually who is picking and packing these and where are these within the facilities, so that when it gets handed off to the last mile carrier, who is taking it to the final destination. And of course, this is how you can then get that transparency to your customer base as well. Or if they do have customer success questions or support questions, you can more easily answer them with a lot of confidence as well.
Nice, thanks, Casey. Chad, kicking it over to you here.
Hey.
Let's see if I can do decent with the slides here. I kind of put you in with Casey, so just nudge me along if you need me to.
Yeah, of course. So Chad Rubin here with Skubana. Today, you can go to the next slide already. We are going to be talking about some metrics and tactics to optimize your order value. Actually, I have an interesting diagram very similar to what Casey just put out there. How to offset skyrocketing customer acquisition costs and to essentially manage a successful multi-channel strategy. So I'm super excited to present this today. I want everyone to buckle up. And I'm gonna go through this stuff really quick. I may mumble, but I'll be around for Q&A afterwards. So the first thing we want to talk about is average order value, and Casey alluded to this a little bit, but essentially the idea is you want to get people to add more items to their cart so you can actually, and why? Why would you want to do that? Well, you want to achieve economies of scale, because the more things that you add to your box or to your shipping, your margin goes up actually very much so incrementally. So this is how you're going to drive more revenue, but also offset a rising CAC environment and provide more value to your customers, and that's what we're going to get to in the next slide. So if you want to move to the next slide, that'd be great. All right, so we're going to talk about something that not a lot of people talk about. People talk about conversion rate optimization all the time, but no one talks about order value optimization, OVO. So OVO is really all about how you can increase your profit margins, which is I'm sharing with you through economies of scale. And I'm going to share in the next slide, you'll see, and we're not going there yet, kits and bundles. And kits and bundles allow you to create customer value. So I have here in this Jay-Z photo where you've got 99 problems, but OVO isn't one. You see this Mickey D's, the arches. And when I think about creating customer value, and I think about kitting and bundling and increasing the average order value, I think about a Happy Meal. And what the Happy Meal does for you, it essentially allows you to increase the cart size in store in a fast food restaurant, and even apply a high margin item like soda and supersizing your fries with that as well. And that always essentially plants a seed in the customer's mind, and of course encourages further conversion at a higher dollar value, which is what everybody wants at the end of the day. So
actually, if you wouldn't mind going back to the last slide, Chad, I love that example. I actually hadn't heard of OVO. I don't know if you just coined that now or stole it from somebody else, or if you've been using it for a while, or maybe I've been hiding under a rock. But I that is something that we do see often, and that it's very similar to that backblade example where they were like, okay, you're getting a blade. Well, how do you plan on using this? Do you need some type of like lather cream? And oh, can we get you on a subscription basis for that? Because that's like the upsell plus subscription like combo where, okay, you're gonna be needing this every 30 days, every 60 days, every 90 days, and then you're getting them in the upsell right there. Love that example.
Yeah, and by the way, the kitting example of a backblade and say cartridges or lotion, it allows you to test new product ideas or even slow velocity items in a real way so that you can actually get movement on those items without selling them individually. And of course, bundling them together, you essentially will increase your basket size and increase your margin because, again, the shipping cost just goes up ever so slightly, but your profitability goes up much more than that when you start bundling.
I don't know if people see my screen, see like my camera, but I'm a new dad and I just bought this carrier from Tactical Baby Gear, and on the checkout, they were proposing me this badge, #DadLife, that I can just put here. And it was like a $6 thing, but I couldn't resist buying it. So, and I know, Chad, you're also a new dad, so like check out Tactical Baby Gear. It's really amazing stuff, and and they are very good at the upsell.
That's interesting. Now I need to buy that, and I need to buy the backblade. Great. That's right. And by the way, that upsell, that $6 probably cost them a couple of cents, and their shipping costs probably didn't even go up by adding that to the item. So anyway, the next piece here is scarcity. So scarcity, we have a lot of customers at Skubana, a lot of D2C brands, and I probably forgot to mention what Skubana does, but we're an operational platform to run and automate your entire business. A lot of brands use us for their own organic platforms, whether it's Shopify or BigCommerce or Magento, but also across marketplaces, pop-up shops, and B2B. And a lot of our customers are essentially using scarcity as a tactic to essentially artificially inflate demand. And essentially forces customers to act really quick. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that really economics, it's all about supply. Higher demand drives the price increases, but also triggers faster purchasing behavior. So you can see on the right here, Amazon uses this in a very real way. And especially if you're in the business of fast fashion or even health items, you can actually promote scarcity to the channels that you're selling on to promote the conversion faster. And Casey alluded to the fact, how do we get people to convert? How do we create a frictionless commerce experience? And this is one quick, easy way to show artificial numbers to the channel. And of course, offsets cart abandonment. One of the things that we do, and we've seen customers use at Skubana on the following slide, is that you can actually create that artificial scarcity across all the channels you sell on. So very quickly, you can go and you can show a percentage available to a channel, or you can just show a max allocation, which will constantly show, let's just say it's the number is 10, you'll keep showing 10 until you actually hit 10, and it goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And essentially, again, it gets people to actually go and hit that buy button instead of waiting. It's just a really nice tactic, and it doesn't cost you anything. Have you guys seen this before? Have you seen customers using this?
I was going to ask Chad. I was always wondering. I was always under the assumption too that like through Amazon. So that's myth. Like when there's 2 items left, like that's just artificial scarcity. Like is that actually hooked up though? Like correctly? Like there's only 2 orders left in the fulfillment warehouse or whatnot? Or
as long as you're doing merchant fulfilled, not FBA.
Okay.
You can actually push the correct number to the channel. For FBA, Amazon controls how much you show. There actually are some tactics on Amazon where you can actually.
Oh, a couple of black hats.
there's some things we can talk about offline. You can always email me about how you can actually show lower FBA numbers to the channel, but I don't know if we want to get into that today.
Yeah.
We did that a lot in a I'll say a non-black hat way at Watchmaster, where because we were a luxury watch company. It was the Rolexes, Tag Heuers, Omegas of the world, where we actually would only have, let's say, 1 or 2 left. So there was like true scarcity, and we'd always lead with that, because it was, especially when they were like limited edition watches. This is when the James Bond Spectre movie came out. Mm-hmm. We couldn't find and buy those fast enough to sell them, and so that was definitely a huge driver for us.
Nice. So just continuing on, right, with this idea of OVO, is that a lot of merchants and brands think that they have to have the lowest value out there. And for me, it's about maximizing value and creating value in the customer experience. And so you can see in this bundling example, essentially, you don't have to be the lowest, but you can be the best. And you can see the difference on the left versus the right of how they're actually creating a narrative and a story for the customer. And essentially, instead of just having to be competitive on price at the expense of profits, you can upsell them and create this journey in their mind of like, this is what it could look like aspirationally. And you can take this home for this value. And now you're actually creating a nice bundle, which again, you're creating economies of scale at the same time, and it all flows to the bottom line. So while I mentioned I run Skubana, I also run an e-commerce business called Think Crucial. We sell on 15 different channels out there, Shopify, Amazon, Home Depot, Overstock, Groupon, Wayfair, you name it. And if you just go to the previous slide, we are kings of kits and bundles. So we're always planting these seeds of desire in our customers' minds to create more value and to increase the value of that order, because at the end of the day, we're selling commodities, and I don't want people to have to think of what they need to buy. So again, this is about taking the guesswork out of gifting, and no one wants to gift a vacuum filter. So if you gift a vacuum filter to your spouse or your partner, you're making a big mistake. But the idea here is that you're taking the thinking out of what the person needs to buy and say, look, you can buy one vacuum filter, but if you buy all 3, you might as well change them all at the same time while you're doing it, and maybe throw a vacuum hose in the mix as well. So yeah, I think that helps with this metric on OVO. That surmises it. I think we're going to move to the next metric, which is CAC. We're going to kick this off. So there's no question that the cost of acquisition is rising in a big way. Actually, CAC during the holiday season rises 140%. And so how do you overcome this? Well, again, you can overcome this with OVO. But if we're all spending all the same money across all the same channels and targeting the same buyer persona and the same ideal client profile, then how do you win if you're doing the same thing everyone is doing? So on the next slide, I've got another idea here, which is really about the days of having one warehouse are over. And I really truly believe this, that the idea of just being a D2C brand in today's world is not even it's not a competitive advantage anymore. And so you need to be more than just a D2C brand. And of course, that one metric we talked about, which is OVO, is competitive intelligence. But the next thing is like expanding your footprint. So you want to do a few things. A, you want to expand your footprint as close to the customer as you can. And Casey shared this already. I really do believe in this, which will actually offset, bring your fulfillment centers closer to your customer. With increasing CAC, you lower your shipping fees. That's incredibly important. But the next step is you actually want to automate a lot of this across your warehouses. A solution like Skubana will do that, but you need intelligent allocation rules to be able to do this in a thoughtful way, and you need to be the fastest and most cost-effective manner. The other thing that you want to start thinking about is not only a 3PL. So I think having a 3PL is important. Having multiple 3PLs is more important, but also thinking about where you're placing your 3PLs strategically. There's some sort of tax benefits that can happen by placing your warehousing in perhaps outside of United States territory that I think not a lot of people are doing, where you can lower the cost of goods sold and the contribution of shipping to that as well. So something that we've been playing with at Skubana, we see a lot of customers doing multiple 3PLs in other territories to have tax efficiencies, just something to think about as we're going through this together. Any questions? I know Casey and Nick may have some things to add because this is their specialty.
I'm letting you sell it on our behalf because I obviously agree with it. I mean, that's what's just the data that we're fortunate to be able to see on a hourly, daily basis, definitely greatly supports this. And it's really the only way to cost effectively bring that Amazon level buying experience. So I know so many companies are looking to improve checkout and conversion rates through using digital wallets, let's say like Amazon Pay or Apple Pay, Amazon one click, PayPal one click. And so you're giving them this seamless Amazon level buying experience. And then after they purchase it, it's like, great, your product will be there in like 5 to 7 business days. And it's just this very disjointed experience. So how do you really tie all that together? And that's just one of the many things that really helps drive word of mouth, which is one of the best ways to truly build a brand.
Totally, and just experience share real quick. I used to actually have my own warehouse with 30 warehouse employees and moved to a 3PL before people knew what the acronym meant. And it actually has changed my life and my marriage in a huge way. So
I bet.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So the other thing that we're seeing a lot of brands doing is getting as close to the customer as possible, in not only in an online way, but in an offline way too. So one of our customers is Tushy, and they are creating not just pop-up shops, but poop-up shops. And so essentially having the ability to have an ERP like Skubana that has evolved where it can connect to your point of sale. They're using Shopify POS on the back end, and to essentially be able to triangulate 3PLs and their inventory that's sitting in their poop-up shops together in one cohesive manner where it's very unified. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of D2C brands doing, again, they're going to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is, and that's really, they're seeing that like maybe the CAC right now, since nobody's doing it offline, maybe there's room for you to actually make more money offline and lower that CAC, and so using direct mail. So direct mail to share promotions of their product. I'm telling you right now that I'm getting a lot of these mailers, but you can essentially automate D2C mailers using Skubana with Zapier that says every time a customer buys from this, send them a direct mailer, and that'll help with your future repeat purchasing behaviors. One little tool that you can use is something called Lob, which is an API connector that connects to Zapier with Skubana that allows you to automate that process.
Just a question on this, the direct mail. Do you use a 3PL like ShipBob in order to store whatever you want to send to the consumer as the mail piece, or do you use another direct mail supplier that can send like custom packages by API?
You can do, I'm sure ShipBob actually offers the ability to have promotions to mail promotions, correct?
Yeah, don't we do that with the Halloween? What's that brand called, Casey? Pardon me.
Creepy Cow?
Yeah, well, Creepy Co. I mean, I was working at the fulfillment centers, and they have those mailers. Like I remember, I was doing some of the accounting and stuff like that too with one of the employees there. And yeah, we do. In case you can correct me wrong here, but yeah, it was like all these different mailers and stuff that they added into the boxes or just shipped out directly to the consumers. But
Yeah, that's easy to add. It's just we just bucket it as another SKU and place it right next to the products they'll be picked with. So you can definitely include personalization and mailers such as this as well.
Yeah, so like the idea is you want to get in front of your customer no matter where they are in the journey. And really these D2C brands are actually sometimes even doing it better than these traditional retailers have done it for generations. So if you look at someone like Warby Parker, they're generating $2,500 per square foot selling $100 glasses, which is literally the same revenue per square foot that Tiffany's is doing in a much more smaller space. So with their store, it's amplifying their footprint. It's getting customers that are 3 times more likely to buy and creating hyper loyal customers. So these are like tactics that people are using today. There's like even pop-up shops like appear here right now where you can like get a pop-up shop going out of the box for like a week. Instead of making a 6-month or a year lease, you can get a lease for a week. So it's really interesting what's happening in the retail world and how these D2C brands are growing up, but also leveraging offline tactics where they started off as D2C, they're now becoming direct to everywhere. And the last thing, Amazon, for me, for my e-commerce business and how we actually started eating in our own restaurant, we built Skubana out of my own pain. And I sell on channels, on marketplaces, and I sell on our own website in a very big way. But you want to make sure that you're getting in front of everywhere, no matter where they are. So just because you've had success in your organic platform doesn't mean you should or preclude you from wanting to sell on Amazon. For me, it's all about living everywhere your customer is shopping. And you don't have to put everything on Amazon. A lot of people actually don't want to embrace Amazon. I get it. But at the same time, when I looked up Calm, the blanket company we were just talking about, they're not on Amazon, which doesn't help their narrative, but all their competitors are on Amazon. And you want to really get more wallet share, which means you want to have more eyeball share. And maybe they put their economy blanket with social proof on Amazon, leverage that and get a lot of details and science and data behind it and using Amazon to your advantage, the same way Amazon's using your data to your advantage. There's a lot of fun things you can be doing by being on Amazon, but essentially marketplaces and Amazon is a great way to generate brand discovery and social proof of where your customers are likely to go to get a deep understanding of reviews that they trust on the marketplace.
So, something fun about Amazon is about Calm. People are probably looking for Calm blanket on Amazon. So they're searching for those exact keywords, the brand name and who's appearing. Not Calm because they're not there, but their competitor are actually piggybacking their keywords on Amazon. So they're just leaving money on the table, literally.
I have this debate with brands all the time. Even if you look up Away Luggage, all these other luggage brands are competing on that brand name. There's over 1 million searches a month for Away Luggage on Amazon. And even if all these other competitors are taking 10 or 15%, Away is not allowed to tell their story, right? So maybe you should have the worst version of their luggage or the economy version of their luggage, whatever it is, take one hero SKU, have it on Amazon just to even collect data so you can understand what the conversion data looks like and how many people are searching for your brand. These are all things you should be collecting right now on the marketplace and learning from what's happening on Amazon, whether you decide to be there and embrace it or don't embrace it.
Do you think that it's like a lot of brands, not I don't want scared is a little harsh, right? But like with what Amazon's been doing for the past 3, 4, 5 years now behind the scenes, and now clearly publicly with all their private label brands, right? It's like that started to grow 5 years ago. Now it's like, oh my God, like they have hundreds, right? It's like, do you think that that's one of the clear reasons why some of these brands aren't selling there though, or is it multiple things of just like price points, selling a Calm blanket through an FBA storage facility too probably ties into it as well, but just kind of curiosity there because I know you've been selling there for years.
My perspective is that like if you're not on Amazon, you're not controlling your brand. Brands think that actually by not being on Amazon, they're controlling their brand, but they're really not. By being on Amazon, you have to actually fully control your brand. You take Amazon's intel and use it against them almost, right? Like, so you're subverting the subversive at that point. So you're taking control of the narrative, you're taking control of your brand, you're taking control of ad spend, you're showing your story, and maybe they just have one version of the calm blanket, but it allows them to go and see social proof. Other than that, they're just relying on the reviews that are on the website, which they can take as a grain of salt, right? It's not really verified. And so like, I believe there's a middle ground. Maybe you don't have to have all your SKUs on Amazon. You have one SKU, collect data, use Amazon to your advantage, control your brand, control the narrative, and certainly get that eyeball share. It's free eyeball share, because like right now, all their competitors are on there. They're actually spending on their brand name, so they're not in control.
Yeah, I see that. Chubby's Shorts actually is a great example too, right? It's a little extreme. I know we got some time left for Phil's presentation too, but it's also, I was looking at that too, if Colin was on there, but Backblade, check out them. They're taking over the SERP. I think they're ranked organically. They have 2 sponsored product listings. They're also taking up the headline search ads as well. And so like they're doing, obviously a very good job there, for their branded keywords at the very least too. So, but I will jump over here back to this session.
I'm gonna just run through these. I'm gonna just sprint through it because I want to give Phil time. This brings us to the final metric. It's channel optimization, right? If you're about being direct to everywhere, not just D2C, but if you're direct to everywhere, especially during the holiday season, you're gonna have a hard time understanding what is the most profitable channel. And then if you go to the next slide, you need to understand not only what is the most profitable channel, but what is the actual most profitable SKU that's going to drive the most value for you now and forward. So looking at your profit across the channel, seeing every SKU, what's selling, what's aging. If you go to the next slide, you can drop what's profitable and then allocate more dollars and spend to actually what's a winner for you. So like looking at your winners, looking at your losses, bingo, bango, bongo. So the recap on the next slide: bigger basket, bigger profit, bundling and scarcity to drive customer value, offsetting your CAC, increasing your footprint with a 3PL, going offline, going to where people aren't going. And let's hand it off to Phil from Gorgias. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Amazing presentation, Chad. Nick, do you want to pass it over, or you're good to click through this?
I could just click through. Let's just finish up that way, and then we can go through. Do you guys have a hard stop at 3 p.m. Eastern, or you got about 5 minutes extra? Or
I've got a little bit of time, so
cool.
Can keep on going.
Just want to make sure. Cool. We'll go through yours, and if we've got a couple of good questions, we'll interject and stuff too. So everyone's still online here, it looks like. So this is great.
Amazing. Good content. So yeah, let's talk about customer support and how you can turn that to your advantage in time for Black Friday, because you don't really have a second chance. 79% of online shoppers said they would take their business elsewhere after experiencing poor customer service. So literally, it can go right back to your competitor or Amazon if you're not there when they have questions, or if you're giving them the runaround on those questions. But it's not the sexiest topic for e-com CEOs. It costs a lot of money. It's just a line on, it's just a negative line on the P&L, and it reduces profit. There's not that thinking on how we can turn this to our advantage and transform this into something that generates sales for your business. So what if you could transform customer service from a cost center into a profit generator? So we're going to review 3 metrics right now that you might not think they're all have to do with support, but we're going to review tactical things and actions that you can implement in your business just in time for Black Friday. First, how to one-touch your tickets with the right answer for your clients so that you stay on top of your customer service queues and it doesn't blow up. Then how can you use support to improve your return on ad spend? So you'll be investing tens of thousands of dollars, often per day, on your Facebook ads and Instagram ads in the next couple of months. So we're going to review a couple of tactics that can have an impact on this. And finally, we're going to see how you can leverage chat to increase your conversion rate with some data to back it up. Let's jump right into the one-touch tickets. So this is how your customer service team looks like today. They're doing the same thing all over again. They're never getting to the end of the queue, and they're frankly disorganized and stepping on top of one another. But if we take a step back, we see that 25% of all your tickets can be resolved in only one touch. So 30% of, just go back 1 second, and 30% of all your tickets are about where is my order, and 30% about how to return and exchange product. And that will be even more true as people are inquiring if they will get the product in time for Christmas and so on. So let's see how we can optimize and automate a lot of those questions. One of the key features that you can use in Gorgias is actually implementing Shopify data points in your canned response with only one click. So everything that's on file, such as when the order shipped out, tracking number, tracking URL, can be replied in 1 second instead of having to copy paste all of those data points from your Shopify backend and back into your ticket. But what's even more powerful, so if you switch to the next slide, is that we can now automate all the tickets of people asking, where is my order? And this, we do know if they're asking for that by machine learning. So somebody asking, where's my order? If, let's say, the order is less than 7 days, and this is your maximum delivery time because you're shipping from the East Coast and it's going all the way to California. So somebody asking, where's my order? And the order is less than 7 days. You can reply automatically to that client, providing them with their data on tracking number, tracking URL, when it shipped out, and so on. Because it's a normal ticket. And if it goes beyond that, so if it's outside of your standard shipping time, then you can have your customer service look at it. So let's talk about something a little bit more interesting, how to boost ROAS using customer support. So you're spending all that time on really fancy ads and creatives for the holidays, but there's nobody monitoring your comments, and hundreds of people are commenting that they love this, they want it, and so on. Can I switch to the next?
One minute. Let's see if I can jump out of here.
We're stuck on a beautiful ad. So this is actually what people are commenting right under your ads today. They're saying that they want a product, they need it, they're tagging their friends, their family, and everybody is just having a big party, but the brand is not there. There's a lot of money left on the table. So what you need to do is really monitor what's going on your Facebook feed. So if somebody is saying, I want this, and then they're tagging their friend along with that, you can have creative copy that will give them an incentive to visit your website, such as a small discount code and so on. And that will create a notification when you're replying to them in their Facebook backend that will invite them to come right back to or to visit your website. And what we've seen conducting this test across multiple websites is that people doing this type of copy will have a boost in their sales that is equivalent to 5% of their ad spend by commenting proactively to everybody who has a positive interaction on your ads. So when people say that they want the product, make sure that you're there telling them how to get it.
It probably helps with. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say it probably helps out with like the advertising algorithms too, right? Like the more comments, right? That's just gonna boost. I remember doing this with like LinkedIn last year, a couple of years ago, where it's like you're driving a campaign just to generate awareness, right? So you can get a lot of engagement because that ties into Facebook's algorithm or LinkedIn's algorithm. So they see a lot of likes, a lot of comments, right? They're clearly going to show that to a lot more people, right? And so it's like, and that's just you're so right. But I would, right? Okay.
100%. So like if you're engaging and you're replying something and you're asking on top of that for like more engagement, you're like, hey, what do you think of this product? I see you want it. Here's a discount. Let me know like if ever you bought it. And people keep on replying to this same thread. That just boosts the organic reach of that whole post. So yeah, you're gonna reach more people on your ads if you're there engaging and with all your followers all the time. Also, like messenger bots will still be popular this year, so people are growing their list right now through different means. So you can be growing it through ads, Facebook ads to messenger. So those are that's an ad format that drives people to a messenger bot. But the problem is that every time somebody clicks on one of your bot reply or a quick menu reply, it creates a ticket in your customer service backend. So if you're driving a lot of traffic, thousands of tickets can be created within a single day, and your customer service team can't keep up. So it's really important that you use a software that will allow you to only see the user-generated reply in your backend. Also, I don't know, in the comments, maybe you can leave something about if you're using SMS this year as part of your growth strategy for the holidays. But we've seen SMS being the hottest channel of 2019. If you're not yet on it, go implement it. You still have time for Black Friday. And it's really easy to turn on an abandoned cart campaign in just a matter of a few clicks. People will tell you on SMS more than any other channel why they didn't purchase from your store, because it's so personal. So they will tell you like, hey, I didn't get my paycheck this week, or you didn't have the right color, or I was looking for another product and I didn't find it. This is a golden opportunity for your customer service team to be on top of those abandoned carts conversations and convert them into actual buyers. So we make sure that Gorgias, that you're integrating with all of your favorite SMS apps, such as SMS Bump, Postscript, Retention Rocket, and so on. Make sure to try it for this holiday. You will see crazy return on your SMS spend. And finally, conversion rate. So you can boost your conversion rate really easily by creating meaningful conversations with your client and starting with a chat campaign. So depending on where people are on your website, you want to give them the impression that they're actually in a retail store, or that they really have one of those private shopping experience. So if you were having a real physical location and somebody walked in through the front door, what would you tell them? I don't think you would push them an offer right away. You would just welcome them to your store, like, hey, welcome. We have a new arrival section over there, but let me know if you need help looking around, and that's it. But if that person looks and walk over to that collection that you mentioned them, so let's say a new collection of shoes for a woman, and you see that they're looking precisely at those women's shoes, then you can create content that is engaging and relating to what they're looking at right now. For example, like, hey, we have a deal on our women's shoes right now. Use shoes 5 for 5% off. Let me know if you need help finding the right size for you. Usually women go half a size up. So you're acknowledging where they are, you're giving them an objection busting statement, and you're saying that you're there to help with their purchase. Those will create a tremendous amount of engagement, and then your customer service team can help close the deal. So that's really powerful to create trust with your shopper. And if you have those campaigns in place, you can now measure how much sales are driven from your customer service team. This is extremely powerful just in time for the holiday, because within Gorgias platform, you can now track the sales driven from support and then incentivize your customer service team to close more deals through chat or other means, instead of just replying to where's my order all day, because we automated that part. So for example, the dashboard that you're looking on right now, on the chat channel on October 3rd, 2019, that is actual real store, that store received 186 pre-sale chat inquiries. 87 of them converted into actual sales within 7 days of that conversation. That's a 47% conversion rate, after chatting to a customer service rep. Who has a 40% conversion rate on their store? I don't know, but if that doesn't give you a boost, nothing will. And one of the important things, though, I need to point out is that this store is really good at replying really fast at their chat. So when somebody's asking for something, they have somebody on it, within a minute. So that also has a big impact. if you implement all of these things, so canned responses and automated answers on your most frequent questions, making sure that you're on top of all your positive ads comment and that you're putting chat campaigns that are engaging, you will increase your efficiency by 30%, guaranteed. You will see a small improvement in ROAS by driving and increased sales up to 5% of your actual ad spend, and you will boost your conversion rate from where it is today.
Awesome.
That was a very quick drive through the whole thing. Yeah.
That was action-packed. We're only 3 minutes over time here. Like I say, we had a lot of content to get through today, but this is going to be a great recording to kind of send out to everyone. So, Chad, Phil, and Casey, guys, you really do appreciate it. But let's stick around for like 2 minutes, and let me see if I could pitch you guys at least one last question, if that's cool with you. But in the meantime, I'm going to kind of throw up a poll question. If you want a follow-up question or follow-up conversation with, either Skubana, ShipBob, or Gorgias, you can just let us know here as we dive into the first question. And so, Chad, this one came up earlier. I'm not sure if more this is addressed towards ShipBob either, but Yusuf wants to know what makes Skubana different than Shipping Easy.
Shipping Easy has like rudimentary, perhaps it's like shipping with some rudimentary inventory management. Skubana is a complete operations platform that not just allows you to connect to a 3PL or print shipping labels, but automatically create purchase orders for you with an app store that allows you to essentially connect and scale and grow your business, just like Shopify does on the back end. So we're like the yin to Shopify's yang, allow you to sell anywhere you want to, any way you want to, wherever your inventory is sitting in today's commerce environment.
Nice. There you go.
It's kind of like comparing a bicycle to a Porsche. That's really the best.
Good way of putting it. Adam has another question here for you, Chad. What do you mean by cross-border 3PLs, i.e. Mexico and Canada?
Yeah, so look, one of the things I've been testing, I'm always early to test these things, is looking at fulfillment operations as other things are impacting our current landscape. So for me, in the vacuum space, right, tax efficiencies could be had perhaps if like there's a tariff that's 25% of an increase on imports. You can position your inventory in other countries and sort of find workarounds that allow you to lower to essentially maintain competitiveness. So so like for me, I'm all about having multiple 3PLs, positioning those 3PLs as close to the customers, but also trying to see if there's any other ways that I can essentially bypass, find tax efficiencies in the process.
Awesome. Yeah, totally understand. Casey, this one's for you. Let's see, it looks like Matt wants to know, where do you typically see merchants running into issues with fulfillment? Like, how do they know when essentially to run, out of a 3PL versus their own warehouse? I mean, Chad, you could probably dive into this too, as you mentioned earlier, but just in case, I'll shoot this one over to you first.
I'd say it obviously depends on every customer, but it's when you think that actually picking and packing the boxes is eating into running a better business. And so it depends on what your expertise is as well, but most e-commerce founders, it's not necessarily the operation side, it's probably product development, sales, and marketing. And so if that starts eating into you being able to run a more efficient business, I would start at least having the conversations with different 3PLs to see what is the pricing I can get and how can I hand off an element of my business. We have people that start with us from day zero, and we have people that start with us when they start shipping 20,000 units a month. So it depends, but I'd say it reflects a lot on your skill set and your team's skill set.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Casey. All right, so 6 minutes over. Let's give the people back their time for the rest of the day, as we're, like I said, about 60 or so days left for the rest of the quarter. But I do want to finish off here, guys, with just one last question. Is just, if there's something to kind of take away from today's presentation, or any last minute advice to give all the merchants in attendance, what is something that they should be paying attention to, for the rest of 2019, or even thinking about heading into 2020. Any trends? I know there's always those typical 2020 retail trends and stuff like that always get published, but any last minute advice to these people that are actually attending today? I mean, Chad, I'll kick it over to you first, and then we'll hand it over to Phil, and then finish off with Casey.
Gosh, that's a tough one. I guess I can probably say, like, if there's any advice, would be that you need to have first mover advantage in whatever you're doing. Like, I think there's a time to market and speed to market that's super important in this competitive environment, because you don't need a license. Like, you need a license to be a barber or to maybe be a chiropractor, but you don't need a license to do D2C. So anybody and their grandmother can. And so it becomes, how can I find a structural advantage that others can't? And so it could be speed of market, which is one. It could be technology is two. Like, you've seen some technology today, and the things that even 3 companies that are on this call today give you a competitive advantage that you can't get elsewhere. So I think those are probably the things that you should be looking at. Like, even if you're not interested in any one of these solutions, talking to either all these companies, all 3, and having an open mind can give you a competitive advantage and allow you to maybe not have to compete directly with competitors on price.
Just a quick one on my side. I mean, having 2 logistic focused company on the panel today, I'd say make sure you deliver your package in time for the holidays. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with thousands or hundreds of thousands of people asking, where's my order on December 24th? So plan ahead, make sure you have inventory, make sure that your operational processes, are geared up for the increase in volume, and that you're also maybe accounting for a little bit of a slowdown within the postal system, especially if you're importing from overseas and then either drop shipping or fulfilling from the United States afterward. So yeah, in order not to need Gorgias, make sure your operations are in order before the big days that are coming ahead.
I'd agree with Phil there, especially because January is often when people see the highest percentage of returns. And so anything you can do to really nail that customer experience and getting them exactly what they wanted in a timely manner to set yourself up to reduce that return percentage is critical. And another item as well is understand the math behind your business. So you're going to see this big influx. And so what does it cost to produce your product? What does it cost to ship your product? What does it cost to acquire that customer? Do you have any type of recurring business model built in as well? Because you might see a big uptick in Q4, and we see in November and December upwards of 40 to 45% of the revenue for companies in an entire year. And so just really make sure that you understand the basic level economics of your business, so that come January, if there are returns and you're reconciling your books, you're in the black.
Awesome. Well, thank you, gentlemen, Chad, Phil, and Casey. You guys really do appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for still attending 10 minutes over and still have their attention. So that's great to see. Again, everyone, I'll be sending the recording out either by tomorrow or Monday morning. So be on the lookout for that. But, we're not stopping. We still got a couple more things to finish off the rest of the year. And then we're going to hit 2020 strong. You're probably going to see these familiar faces again, come January, February. Going to be dropping some more knowledge as we head into 2020 and really preparing for, hitting the ground running. So stay tuned. Like I said, we're still getting started here, and there's much more to come. But again, thank you, everyone. Really do appreciate the time, and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks so much,
See you guys.
Thank you.